Welcome back to Trained Well. I'm your host, George Elossais, and today we've got someone who sits at the intersection of insurance and growth. Alicia Lucik is the Director of Business Development at Melon Local, the marketing agency behind thousands of agents' digital pipelines, and a Google Premier Partner recognized among the top 3% of Google advertisers. Melon Local was named number 5 on Inc.'s Rocky Mountain Regionals and has built its name on doing what most vendors don't: pairing full stack marketing, SEO, paid search, social, reviews, brand with Melon Max, live transfer calls, and internet leads all under one roof. We're going to unpack how her team rolls out the green carpet, what really moves the needle in 2025, and how agents can turn more clicks and calls into bound policies. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
How was that intro? Was that okay? Was that accurate?
It was great.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, again, appreciate you being here. And I always start with the same question for everybody. You were born, now you're here. What happened in between? What's your story?
So I'm originally from Michigan, actually, small town, very rural, like corn and cows. I think we're
Okay.
technically a village. So I can relate to those agents that are like, yeah, I'm in rural areas. I'm like, oh, if you only knew, we had
Yep.
tractor day at my high school.
Yep.
And now I've kind of moved cross country to the big city, and Melon Local is now located in Las Vegas. So definitely tables have turned.
Okay. Awesome. And you've been at Melon Local since day one, right?
Pretty much since day one. The idea came about in our living room when we had an agent coming over trying to woo my roommate, the owner of Melon Local, and he kept fixing our Wi-Fi. And I'm like, girl, I don't know if you know, like our Wi-Fi is just fine, but he's showing up with great wine. So I'm like, let him keep coming over. So yeah, the idea kind of was born there. And then from day one, they're like, Alicia, come over, run our sales team, run our sales team. I was actually in sports and entertainment marketing prior with
Okay.
working with huge brands, companies, and then some things happened. And then guess what? We got hit with COVID. No sports and entertainment marketing. So jump ship into the digital space because, there's more career, stability, I guess you could
Sure.
say. So.
Sure. Okay. What did Melon look like back then versus where it's at now?
Wow. It was like, a handful of us grinding during COVID in the living room, like 14-hour days, sleeping on the laptop pretty much every night. You may or may not make it ever to the bed in a night. And then that first year, we had a sister company, large ad agency. We shared an office with them. There was only a handful of us. And then from there, we outgrew that office. We got this office across the street from where that original ad agency was. Then we outgrew that. We went and took over that entire office. That ad agency moved out. So now we have two offices. But we're like, this is crazy. We need everyone under one roof. So now we've moved about 2 blocks down the street. So we have a large 2-story office here now, huge meeting space. We're hosting convention next year. So if anyone's coming out, you can come by, check out our office. We're located near the airport, and I'm sure we're going to be hosting some type of party too. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's quite the change. And like, what has been your role in that? What have you contributed? What are you doing? What's your day to day look like to kind of make Melon what it is?
Yeah, well, that's a loaded question. We do it all over here.
Yep.
Everything from, driving in all of the business, running our sales team. My calendar is stacked on a daily. Right now, I don't know if you know, some things have changed within certain corporations and subsidies and things like that. And let me tell you, my phone has not stopped ringing off the hook, as well as our office. I gave out my personal cell to over 2,000 agents already. So you know what that's like.
Yep. Yep.
Certain days, I'm also a therapist. You want to send me a dog photo? We do that too. But um, no, my role is just making sure we do things like this. We're being seen. We go to tons of conferences. We're connecting with our agents. Partnership is very important to us. So we build great personal relationships with everyone. And kind of like you said earlier, we roll out the green carpet. We are a very partnership driven company. If you're the agent that throws money at the wall and hope it sticks, like we're probably not going to be in the right partnership for each other. So just very transparent. We've been straightforward since day one, and we're just always pushing and making sure we're like leading the way in this space. So
Sure. And I want to touch on that really quick. So, like, what does that mean? Just like throwing money on the wall, hoping it sticks. Like, what is like kind of the right mindset to have about hiring you guys, or really hiring anyone to maybe run like search ads and social? What do you mean by that? And kind of can you sort of elaborate?
I feel like there's lack of education in the space, first off, and how doing all these things in the digital space really benefits an agency or an agent a lot of times. And I think sometimes they're just pushed by certain people within a corporation to check the box, check the box. You got to do boom, 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 boom. But then half the time you ask an agent, like, why are we checking all these boxes? They don't even know what the boxes are, why they're checking them, have zero idea what they're paying for. And then, they come to you and they're like, hey, we have 6 months left in the year. We're behind on our goals, like fire PIF numbers. Like I'm behind 200 auto policies, this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you spending? What are you doing? And if they have no clue, that's when we step in and educate. Okay, let's sit down together. Let's see what kind of volume you have in your system. And then we focus a lot on ROI over here. So we teach agents how to calculate an ROI. We can track everything we do. So, and we're very transparent. But we'll say like, hey, you're spending X amount of dollars in the paid search space. Okay, we drove in X amount of opportunities. Give me your premium from each product line. Then we'll do the math and kind of add up that premium. And I'll tell you, even if an agent breaks even, they're going to be happy because they know they're going to, catch money 6 month, year renewal, obviously based on the product line. So,
Sure. Well, I think that's a good point too, because obviously we're both working with agents kind of in like different areas. Where like I'm kind of helping train, you're kind of like focused on the marketing side. And like I get those questions all the time, like where are you spending your money on marketing? What are you doing? And what do you say to the agents that are just sort of like, I pay this much for an internet lead. I pay $8 for an internet lead. I'm not spending a dollar more. And maybe they're kind of just so focused on that like cost per lead that they can't really see the ROI, see what else is going on. How do you guys typically handle that?
we just break down the numbers. I say, okay, well, you're not paying a dollar more, but what are you actually closing at? And then I think it all goes back to ROI. Same thing I hear at 24/7. Well, hey, I went with this company. And then when I look at the numbers and I'm like, yeah, well, at Melon, I'm delivering you 3 times the results. It makes sense from an ROI standpoint. And then they call me 6 months later and we actually take a look at their stats and they're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. And then even by asking them the questions, you can see a lot of times like the gears start turning. They're like, shoot, she knows the numbers. Oh, that's where I should be looking. Oh, this makes sense now. They've been telling me, I'm the best in my territory. I'm above industry standard. So, okay, great. So, what is the industry standard? I ask them sometimes, what is that? And then you can always see their face like deer in headlights, like, that's a great question.
Right.
So,
Yeah, like if the lead's 3 times more, but you close 5 times as often, probably worth it to pay more upfront, but really you're paying less to get the customer, right?
yeah.
No, that makes sense. And you also touched on this a little bit earlier. You guys are focused on being seen. Your guys' social is really good. Your personal social is really good. And you're also extremely busy. Like, I guess my first question is, how do you even like come up with what to post? Like, I don't even know what to post sometimes. Like, what do you sort of do to kind of always make sure that your social media is always moving, you're posting stuff?
Well, I have to give all the credit to my social media department, our marketing department, and we have like a lot of youngins and Gen Zs, and they're always trying to keep me relevant with the latest trends and what we should be doing, and the TikToks and the this, and even going to conferences and getting agents involved in some of our fun TikToks and things like that to just keep it, fresh and young and relevant. I don't know if you know the new thing, but like 6'7". Yeah, 6'7".
What's
Answer is
six
correct.
seven? Okay, I don't know the.
Great question. You're definitely not Gen Z. So, yeah, go ask people with young kids. It's like a new thing they're all saying. Like, I
Okay,
still don't know to the day what this means, but
what
every
it
kid's like, yeah,
means.
six,
Okay,
seven, 6'7". Okay.
And I'm guessing that's a similar team or the same team you use for the agents too, to kind of just make sure everybody's
Oh,
relevant,
yeah.
right? Yep. Okay.
So everything we do in-house, so we kind of practice what we preach. So I see that out there with competitors sometimes. I'm like, okay, you're telling agents they need to make updates to their websites. You're telling agents they need to be get reviews. You tell them they need to be engaged. They need to be posting on social media. You're telling agents they need to do all these things, but then as a company, you're not doing them yourself. So I'm like, we kind of practice what we preach. Like we post very consistently. We're asking for reviews from our agents, our clients, things like that. So I think that's something, especially when people are shopping, that matters. And half the time, like, hey, I hired this mom and pop shop in the middle of nowhere and they created me a website. And I'm like, that's nice of them. But we also got to think about compliance and they're probably going to be knocking at your door soon.
Right.
So,
Well, and that was another thing I want to talk to you about too, just because I know you guys kind of do kind of something special there. Because one, if you look at most insurance agents' social media, odds are they're just kind of like reusing what their company is giving them. And then what
mhm,
happens is it all looks the same. And
mhm.
then also people just love to just say, "Well, I want just want to be compliant. It's not compliant. I don't know about it. Whatever." What are you guys doing? Because you guys kind of have like some agents you work with, but like, what are you guys doing to make sure that not only is it good, it's different, but it's also like compliant social media?
So, from a compliance standpoint, Google has different standards, GBP has different standards, social media, and there's things changing all the time there. Our team's just making sure they're staying up to date on all those type of things. So we have different packages over here at Melon Local. We have a standard package, we have a custom social media package. Um, with us, we do not focus on a corporate brand. I don't care who it is. It's just never been one of our goals. We're all about an agency. There's a vision for their agency, and when we get on a call with agents, we talk about what's your vision? How do you want to brand yourself within your community? Let's pick out a color palette together. Let's talk about a font you would like to use, things like that, and you'll see different agents' mindsets. And, it makes it more about them and their brand. And you see more personality come through and things like that. Like sometimes I'm like, this agent, I'm like, how in the world did you pick hot pink and green? Like, what, like, where did this color come from? And then they're like, hey, well, I came from a sorority. I write majority of my business from a sorority. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Makes sense why you're branding yourself that way in the community. Um, so you want to hear an agent's reasoning behind why they want to make the moves that they're going to make. So yeah, everything's very custom with us over here, and we want to just focus on the agent.
For sure. Yeah, I like that because I mean, it does it like you do have to sort of differentiate yourself, otherwise you're just going to be kind of lumped in with everybody else in the company. It's just kind of like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, so one thing that people also sort of seem to get stuck on is like, how do you know if social is working? Right? There's likes, there's followers, but like, what's your guys' measurement with your agents of like, this is good, this isn't good? How do you know?
So we have our real-time dashboard over here. So it doesn't matter what you do with us, whether it's our Melon Max products, if it's our, kind of products we've built our company on, our agency on. We track everything. We're going to track every stat from social media. You'll be able to log into this dashboard. You can toggle day over day, month over month, however you want to pull the data. You can see, how many likes the post got, when we posted, when the post went out, what the post actually looked like. You'll see all the stats pull in as far as like engagement goes on Facebook as well as Instagram. We do handle LinkedIn as well, but unfortunately, like we just have no data you can pull from LinkedIn into a dashboard. So, kind of work in progress on that one. I think just know like social media is a branding piece as well. I tell agents if you think you're going to post one post on Instagram tomorrow and you're going to see a flood of these leads coming in, like it's not how it works. I think all these different marketing buckets kind of piece together for the full picture of everything you have in your marketing strategy just to make sure you're getting in front of these customers when they're shopping, whether they're seeing your face on social media, then they're, you know, in your local area, see your billboard. Now they're over here searching online, they see your display ads. Well, now they're ready to buy. Now your Google ad pops up. So I think everything kind of ties together. So just making sure your face and name is out there and they're seeing you. You want to stay relevant. And then social media now is playing a bigger effect than it kind of used to be. And like even SEO rankings, things like that, because Google now is pulling in social media and things like that now in the feeds. And then also with, AI and chat GBT, I think like your listings and your information that's out there on the internet, it's more important that it's consistent than it's ever been in the past because people are searching using ChatGPT and AI, where ChatGPT is pulling in information from all these other websites out there, which before people only were searching pretty much with like Google or Microsoft platforms, things like that. So it's just kind of changing the game. We also make sure all of the photos are being pushed out to all these additional websites, pushed out to your Yelp, pushed out to your Google business profile. And you want to make sure you have consistent name, address, phone number, just kind of across the board. It's all about like consistency and engagement with Google, and we stay up to date with obviously all the Google best practices. So
For sure. Well, because you're talking about like now the search engines are doing like indexing, right? It's like when you post it, it's searchable now. It could show up in multiple places. So probably even more like you should if you didn't have enough of a reason to post, like now you definitely should be posting because you can show up in search results, good or bad, right? So probably want to also watch what you are posting. But okay, no, that's good to know too. When you're like working on onboarding agents and like trying to running a demo, bringing on the new agents, what are some like common misconceptions people have around SEO, search, social that you feel like you're constantly correcting? Like I don't know if it's like bidding or reach or I don't know, but like what's always sort of like coming up that's kind of like holding people back from doing it?
I think, well, there's several things. I think one of the newest things we're hearing all the time is I don't need a digital marketing company anymore. AI can run my Google ads. That is the thing I'm hearing left and right now. Um, well, that's great. We implement AI when we do run our ads, things like that. Shopping habits and things like that. Like it's very easy to pull all this stuff now with AI and PMAX and all these other things. I will say though, you have to think about the compliance piece. So AI is not going to know your compliance. So just take that into consideration if you still want to be an agent. So that's a big thing that I'm hearing a lot. And then SEO, so many agents tell me like, well, I'm in a small town, like I always show up as number one. Well, you might be until that new agent down the street shows up. And yes, what an agent may have on their side is time because you've a 20-year agent. But guess what? If this brand new agent moves into town, now they're following all the Google best practices, they're going to end up outranking you. So now you're falling on that local pack. So I think it's just being consistent, engaged with everything you do, and then also knowing that all these pieces kind of fit together. Like running Google Ads, you can connect them, and that helps your, ranking there. Social media now, that's going to help your SEO ranking. Just how everything kind of ties together, and you're just covering your bases from anywhere online. Possibly, this person could be shopping for insurance. So.
Well, and like for like Google reviews, that's obviously tying into SEO and your Google
Yep.
ads and everything. So I've heard all sorts of like theories as to like what's good, what's bad for Google reviews. So like I've heard like you want it to be like consistent. You don't just want to do like a mad dash and get as many as
Yep.
possible all at once.
You're right.
I've heard. Okay, so that's right. That one's real,
That's correct. That's a real thing.
real thing. Okay.
So
Um.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I had a brand new agent, Florida. I will never forget this agent. She was so excited, first day on the job. I'm like, Google has no idea who you are. So I told her out the gate, I said, Google's about consistency and engagement. Set a goal for your guys' self. Hey, out the gate, we're going to get, 5 to 10 reviews a month. And then as time goes on and you start establishing yourself on Google, start increasing that number. But what, to your point, you never want to get 50 in one month and none the next month. Google's going to give you a ding. So, first day on the job, this agent, bless her, she got 37 reviews in the first hour. I am blowing her phone up. I'm like, stop getting Google reviews. I'm like, I don't even know where these are coming. I was like, stop. She goes, oh, well, I just decided to text every person in my phone and they wanted to support me. That's great. Sure enough, her Google account got flagged. And then you have to go through this verification process with Google, send videos, your business license, whole bunch of different steps. So it's like, just trust out the gate. Think consistency and engagement. Let's just keep it consistent. So, yes, it is a real thing.
Okay, that one's real. Okay. Well, and then the other one is like, should you be like regularly like putting new pictures like with your like Google business account? Like some say it does matter, some say it doesn't matter.
On your
So
Google business profile?
yeah, so like basically like when you like search a business and it pops up, should you be doing new photos? Should you not?
Yes.
What do you, okay, yes, that one
Same
you do.
thing.
Yeah.
Consistency and engagement. So, Google wants to see a base of photos built out, like with their algorithm. So, like 3 interior, 3 exterior, 3 photos of your team, 3 photos at work. So, you want to build out the base of photos, and then we need to consistently be dropping in photos as well. So, over here at Melon, I'll say, whoever takes all the photos in your agency, sometimes the office manager, sometimes it's an agent's wife, could be whoever. Send me all the content you get. And then at Melon, we handle it from there. So we'll grab 2 or 3 photos every month, brighten them, crop them, make them look good. We're going to drop them into Google Business Profile. We're going to drop them into Yelp. And then I'm going to take those photos and push them out to all those other listings out there as well. So we're just staying consistent.
Okay. So for the posting, for the reviews, it's just got to be similar, right? It's a similar
Yep.
number of post reviews, and then okay, Google knows you're just not trying to game it, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, there's those fake companies out there that will like, and Google's cracking down on it a lot, where I don't know if you remember, like last year the algorithm changed and all these agents started getting all these reviews pulled down. And so now I tell agents, like, some of them were trying to pay these companies and things like that. Well, Google knows. So Google's just going to pull them all down, and then like it just sucks. Like you go from, 200 reviews and all of a sudden you're down to 50. I'm like, because they weren't legitimate to even begin with. We are a Google partner, so there has been times where I think Google's made a mistake. Don't tell Google that. But I had an agent, probably like, I don't know, a couple months back. He got 9 reviews pulled down from Google. No explanation. Google just did it. We reached out on the agent's behalf and said, listen, these 9 reviews that got removed were current customers. They were on this agent's book of business. Like, they should not have been removed. And we kind of fight the case on the agent's behalf. And sure enough, we got all 9 of them published back on the Google business profile. Now,
I
it's
didn't even
not
know that was
always
a
going to
thing.
happen,
Yeah, I didn't even
but
know that was
like
a thing.
we'll fight as if we can. And I think like being that Google Premier partner, they give us a little more love than say your average agent out there. So there's that.
Okay. Here's my last one on like reviews and business profiles. Another one I heard is you don't want it to be like a 5.0 average, like a perfect 5-star review. You want it to be like a 4.9, 4.8. I don't even know how you could really influence that either, but any thoughts around that?
I mean, I don't know if there's like an actual algorithm behind that or it's a Google statistic that it's better or anything like
Okay.
that. Like, I haven't seen any
Maybe it's
proven
just human
data.
psychology. I don't
But
know.
human psychology, yes, they're saying like, okay, well, if it's a 5-star across the board, like it's almost like we're all flawed as individuals. Companies all make mistakes at some point. They're almost like, is this even believable? Are these legitimate reviews? So I guess people question that more than like 4.9. You're like, hey, it's almost like when you see reviews on Amazon looking at a product. I'm like, okay, well, there was 15 or 50, whatever it is, amazing reviews. And then you have this one that you're like, were you just being a Karen that day? Or like, did something actually happen? You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, is the product not legitimate? Or what it is. So, like, for example, so many agents were upset during COVID. So agents were getting dinged left and right with negative reviews, and not because the actual individual agency did something wrong or had bad customer service. It was that people wanted free insurance. Well, unfortunately, that's just not a thing. So they were upset. Technically, you could say you're corporate. And they were just going out and dinging every agent. And I was like, listen, good or bad, at the end of the day, always respond to the review. It shows professional as an agent. It shows that you care and you took time out of your day to just acknowledge that. So and we've gotten reviews removed that way too. Like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Is it okay if I like reach out and give you a call? And sometimes they'll either change their review or they'll remove it. And if there's just that one off situation, acknowledge it, show you care, and just keep it moving and drown it out with some more positive reviews. So,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be someone out there that wasn't happy about whatever, so that makes
you know,
sense.
this day and age.
Yeah, right, right, more than ever. So now switching gears from like SEO and like, showing your reviews and posting on the more like paid side, like running ads side. Where do you guys fall on the spectrum of you should market your like little radius as hard as possible, you should go full state, you should go multi-state, doesn't make a difference? Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, it just depends. So, generally, I say full state, other states, run your ads wherever you want. I think since COVID, things have changed the way people shop. Tons of people shop online now. It's just kind of taught us how to do that. I'll tell you me, I do everything personally online. So, some agents are so stuck on this mindset like, hey, I want to run this 25-mile radius around my agency. Well, depends on the market too. That's another challenge. Sometimes they'll say a 25-mile radius in Colorado in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, okay, well, in that 25-mile radius, how many people do you actually think are shopping for a quote? If there's not enough people shopping for a quote, guess what? They're not clicking on your ads. You're not spending your budget, which means there's no new leads that are going to come in. So if you're in a rural market, yes, you're going to have to expand those radiuses. But I also say, why not run full state? Why not run ads in other states if you're more competitive in that space? Because if an online shopper calls you 100 miles away and they're never going to walk into your office anyways, and they say, hey, will you insure my multi-million dollar home, my 3 cars and a boat? You're going to say no as an agent? Like, come on. You know what I mean? So it's like, I tell agents that. And then also, sometimes you're in a challenging market. You think about California when they shut down all online binding, you best believe I told every agent that had to hit the certain goals and they weren't on the old contract, you better go get multi-state license, because we drove in all their business from other states because they still have to grow, move forward. They have a payroll to
Yep.
withhold and everything like that. So, yeah, I think it's great. Just gives you the capability to write business everywhere. So,
Does that help the cost per lead at all, or
yeah.
does it make a difference?
Yeah, definitely. It'll keep your cost per click down if you're running full kind of state, things like that a lot of times, because some agents are like, nope, I only want to run in, like, Georgia's a very expensive state, Illinois, big state. You don't want to run by Bloomington, that's for sure. But you know what I mean? High cost per click areas where it's like if you expand a little bit outside of, say, like your um metro type cities, towns, I don't know how you say it. You expand a little bit, like, yeah, there might be someone out a little bit in the middle of nowhere, but there's also not as many people marketing that area. So if you can swoop up that, click for a third of the price and you're still right in the business, then it makes more sense from an ROI standpoint as well. So,
Sure. Well, and also like on the topic of like running ads too, it seems like when we are buying like internet leads from like the regular like subsidized providers or other agents are, sometimes you're getting stuck with one, some pretty interesting characters, let's say, or two, they're like very, very old. They're like in their
mhm.
80s looking for home insurance, and there isn't as much opportunity to maybe write life or health insurance. What can you do, if anything, for targeting to sort of like maybe get more like the ideal client profile for life or health insurance, for example?
Um, so we can do custom campaigns geared towards that. We are with our Melon Max products. We're actually just started testing them. We're actually going to do life insurance calls
Oh, wow.
through live transfers. So that's something that's up and coming in the works. We do not drive in leads generally for life because, to your point, everyone that fills out a quote online is usually ineligible. So
Yep.
we don't go after that type of business at all. Um, or we can do calls. So we'll do call only campaigns for life. So that's another thing. And it kind of depends on how you want to run them. Some agents are like, I don't care. I just want volume, swings at the bat. Where I'll tell you, last year, some of my Vegas agents were running life insurance calls in California, cleaning house. Some of these I couldn't even believe. Like, they're like, I don't care, volume. And they know going into it, hey, Alicia, I'm going to quote 5 out of 10, 15 calls that are coming in, but they're like, I write one, it pays for itself. They were like $5 calls, $4 or $5 calls. They're like, I'll
Wow.
take it all day.
Yep.
So, or there's some that are like, no, I want to go after, you know, put on all these different filters and things like that, different keywords loaded in. It kind of depends if it's in the live transfer space or it's in the Google ad space. Put on all these different things, but then it's going to drive the cost per call up. Um, Obviously. So some want to go after that unicorn customer and pay a premium, but that's who they want. Some are like, I don't care, swings at the bat. I have a big team. I can run through these all day. I write one,
Yep.
it makes sense, and some. So kind
Sure.
of just depends, but we would talk about strategy, team size before we kind of like make these decisions.
Sure. Well, and I mean too, like if like I do want to write car insurance, home insurance, but I'd like them to be like under 40. Is that possible? Right? I don't want like an 80-year-old. Like, could you target that by chance at all?
Depends in what space you can. Algorithms are always changing. So like with Google Ads, you just have to be careful with like redlining and things like that.
Okay. Got it.
Um, so that's one we can get a little more dialed in the like live transfer space, sometimes the internet lead space with like our live transfer calls now, there are preset filters that we put on all of them. You have to be currently insured, no SR22. You have to be between the ages 25 to 65, and you can't be a current customer of the corporate vendor. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So you've mentioned a couple times, like, give me the details. Like, what is Melon Max? Like what is
Okay.
that whole program you guys are running?
Yeah, so that's our new platform. So Melon Local, we original started build our agency off SEO, um, SEO ads, Google ads, Microsoft ads. We do business directory listings and social media. It was kind of like our standard Melon Local products. Now, in the last, it's been like 4 months, we've been actually testing everything with like a lot of our big agents, close agent friends, things like that since November 2024 with all of our Melon Max products. So we've now rolled out live transfers, internet leads, and clicks. Internet leads, they're like any other kind of internet lead vendor out there. There's 4 tiers. So like more of like your standard type, and then it gets up to like your premium plus. I would say just going into it though, knowing it's still an internet lead, like I'm not selling you gold out there. So it can still be sold up to 3 times, not to another current agent in the same, within the
Same
same
company.
corporation.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say some of your premium plus leads in certain markets, agents are closing those closer, I would say 4 to 7%, which
Okay.
is
That's pretty
better
good
than you
for internet
usually
lead. Yeah,
see for
that's
an
like
internet
double.
lead.
Yeah, it's like double.
Usually, I would say it's more like the standard one, still like within your 1 to 3%. So just know that going into it. As far as live transfers go, um, we are not a subsidized vendor, so make that very clear. But things are a little bit different with us than some of the other companies you work with. So a lot of them, what they do is buy tons of volume from these publishers, things like that. They mark it up and resell it. So the difference with us is we have a direct partnership with a bunch of publishers right now. So we signed an agreement with them, and the volume is going direct from the publisher to the agent. So it's a little bit different. With that being said, the internet leads as well as the live transfers will not go directly into your system. So you will have a real-time dashboard. All the information's in there. There's copy and paste button, so it's very easy to copy and paste that information before we run the quote in the system. But in there, there's like dispositions we'll set to get feedback, because if I notice, hey, an agent keeps closing, I'm going to go back and track where that call came from or that lead came from, and then request more from there, and then go shut down the publishers they're not driving in the best, I would say, volume from, because then it's gonna make the quality of the call or the lead come in better and better. So that's something we work with. We do tons of like coaching calls with the team, dashboard calls, things like that. As far as clicks go, clicks is something I know we're the only people in the space doing it right now. So it's generating .com leads from other places than Google or Microsoft. This will go direct into ECRM, where your normal leads come in. And then at the end of the month, we'll download a CSV report from your system and and then we'll be able to see the tag and kind of just see, what leads came from us for some of the other marketing buckets out there and things like that. So
Sure. Well, and like something that I've been thinking about a lot is, I know other agents are thinking about, is like, there's gonna be like AI. There's more and more like AI call screeners. Like, some Google phones already have it. It's coming to Apple very soon, and depending on how the live transfers are being generated, it might be the better place to start putting money, because if you can't get the person's phone to ring because of an AI screen, it's probably better that they're calling you and making your phone ring. Are you guys doing anything around that? Have you seen more people sort of starting to focus on live transfers? What are you seeing there?
yes and no. I think a big, component of that is usually the team. I will tell you, not every agency their team does well on calls. Some prefer to follow up with like your .coms that come in. So I think it just really depends on the salesperson. So we will do coaching calls to say like, hey, this is kind of our approach. This is where we've seen the highest closing ratio when it comes to calls, things like that. But like I said, it's not for every agency. Where some of them are like .coms all day, every day. Like they have a high close ratio on them. They're more affordable, things like that. I think it's the best to have multiple marketing buckets to kind of cover your basis, especially with like an ever-changing market and where people are shopping. It's very easy now having everything under one umbrella to just shift marketing dollars. Or, hey, I was doing live transfers in my agency, but my best sales girl is now out on maternity leave. We want to shut those calls off and let's throw it towards clicks and just drive in more .coms until she's back in agency, things like that. So it's very easy to kind of shift budget to make sure there's no drop in lead volume. And we're also accommodating the individual agent's team. We have zero copy and paste approach over here. So.
Well, and you kind of mentioned around like the coaching, and you guys do Melon University, right? That's something you guys put on. Tell me a little bit about that. How does Melon University work? What is it?
Yeah, so Melon University is like a platform we launch for like continuous education for agents. We've also seen like, especially like newer agents, like they go through their training, things like this, and then it's kind of like they just drop you in this shark tank and they're like, they don't know right from left and they're drinking from a fire hose. So it just helps. We've hosted a lot of these workshops. It just depends on the individual workshop. Some of them, if you're a Melon client, they're free for you. Some you can join them whether you're with Melon or not. Some of them, if you're a non-Melon client, there might be a small fee for them. Some, it doesn't matter. We'll open it up for everyone. It just kind of depends on who we're hosting and things like that. We do kind of pick topics and things like that based on what's going on with kind of the company, you could say. So, say for example, if it's Life Insurance Awareness Month, we had Blair McDonald. He was a huge life insurance writer. hosted kind of our Melon University workshop within that month. And a lot of agencies struggle with writing life. So have an expert like himself teach them how to spin the person, how to feel comfortable even talking and having the life conversations. Things like that has really helped. We've gotten tons of positive feedback and things like that. So that's kind of why we do it.
Okay. And where can people find you, find Melon? How do they get more information?
They can go to melonlocal.com, the website. My personal email is alicia at melonlocal.com. We're all over the place. And then also, we do have support lines 24 like there's always someone that's going to answer. Like I said, I could give you my personal cell phone number if you want. Like 2,000 other agents have it. So um there's always going to be support no matter what's going out throughout the partnership. And even sometimes, like, they will have a dedicated client success manager if you work with us at Melon Local. However, a lot of times agents will still want to run things by me, which I'm more than willing to jump on a call as well. Or maybe they want to talk to someone in page search or whatever it may be. So just huge support system over here, very customer service, partnership driven. So yeah.
Love it. And I'll leave you with this one last question, just because you're so good with social. If you were to give it like one piece of advice for someone that's afraid to get started with social or doesn't even know where to start, what would it be?
Ooh, put me on the spot here. I think I would just go out and look at other agents you admire, kind of see what they're posting, get some ideas, and then I think it's always the scariest thing, the first post, right? It's kind of like opening agency. Your first day on the job, you're like sweating bullets, you're drinking from a fire hose, and you're just wandering around aimlessly. And then it gets easier and easier. And then you talk to the agents 3 years and been like, I can't even believe I was sweating those like young Tika years or whatever it is. And then as they advance, they're like, okay, well, now I'm open my third agency, Alicia. And I'm like, hey, it's amazing. So it's kind of like that too, you get that first post under your belt and then maybe you start going live. Now you're sharing reels, now you're sharing stories, and it just gets easier and easier. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. That was really good. And yeah, so let me just
Thanks so
stop you.
much. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate you
you.
having me.